Okay, so this is the UX180 camcorder by Panasonic, and it's a very professional camcorder. One of the things I like about it the most is it has a built-in neutral density filter, which isn't super helpful now, but if it's really bright outside, that's great. Another thing I use a lot is these focus buttons. So it has a focus assist, which kind of zooms in, and then you focus and it kind of highlights the area that's in focus. Another thing is it has push auto. So let's say you're in manual focus and you want to focus on something real quick. You just push the push auto, and as you're pushing it, it uses the autofocus temporarily to focus, and it goes back to just manual focus. It no longer uses the autofocus. So that's super useful. And of course it has autofocus as well. And everything can be set to auto or manual, so it has all these different options. Now, it also has a touch screen here, which lets you navigate the menu. But alternatively, if you hate touch screens, it has this little wheel, so you can literally press the menu and wheel through the settings on the menu. I'm personally just like using the touch screen. It also has standard XLR audio jacks and settings for phantom power and that kind of thing. So the XLR jacks are on this side of the camera, down here on the bottom, and right here on the top near the handle. So you could have one boom like mic on top, and you could have this one maybe connected to a wireless system. So you could capture two different sources of audio at once. Now this lens hood right here opens and closes, but you can also just take that off, and it's real easy to take off. There's a button right here, just push it and turn and it slides off. And you may like that without the lens hood. When I shot girl scene with this camera, I had this off because I had a filter on the front of it that did certain things for the appearance and look of the film. Let's see, it's easy to get this back on, kind of. Right there. Okay. So, battery lasts a long time, but you can get another really large battery, which I do have here. The batteries on this, you can actually do a check where you can see how charged up the battery is. It has an HDMI port, which of course I have attached to this monitor. This monitor is not a standard part of this camera. It's my addition, which I bought off eBay actually. So for other functions, these things are less useful to me. Well, it does have headphones right here. It also has a power in jack, composite video out, and it has an SDI out cable if you want really high quality signal coming out. And it has a timecode, like syncing cable, which I'm unfamiliar with this use, but apparently broadcast cameras frequently use this kind of thing, where you link up cameras and you can have the timecode set to the same number. Again, that's not really my thing. I don't really do anything broadcast wise, so I don't really care. UX90, which is an alternative version of this camera, I think lacks those functions. Actually, the only reason I got the UX180 is because this particular one happened to be very cheap, and I got it on at a very discounted price, which happened to be lower than the UX90 price. So it's like, why not just buy this, right? It was barely used too, so. But it also has buttons on here that are very useful. So it has a thumbnail, which lets you see videos that you recorded. It also has a time code set and a counter. I don't really use those things. Again, it's time code stuff. My career was boosted by the 5D Mark II. I used that a ton early in my career, so, and that didn't use a time code. So for whatever reason, I guess that's the reason I've never used time code, because the 5D Mark II didn't use it. So It also has these bars. Actually, I don't even know what this is for really, but I guess again this is useful for some things. And it also has these programmable buttons right here on the side, and you can actually program these too. Now, programmable buttons you can set to whatever you want, but for this particular one I set so that it would automatically switch to night vision. That's because I like doing some ghost hunt stuff, and the night vision is very useful to me. So I put that as my top priority, one of my top priority numbers. Back here, these are also programmable numbers, but I didn't bother to change these. This one is some kind of image stabilization button, which stabilizes the footage as you're moving with it. And this one is also very important. So this is the LCD EVF button. Now, I have it set so that LCD is always on. But if you want to see through the viewfinder, you got to push this button. Nothing seems to change. LCD is still on, the viewfinder's not on. But that's because you have to put your eye right up to it. And when you do that, you can see through it. You can see the viewfinder. And the EVF turns off at the same time. So, apparently, this bothers a lot of people. It's a big issue. I don't really care. I don't like the EVF, and apparently a lot of filmmakers don't really use it either. Apparently they did a study on that, and a lot of them don't. That's why some of these cameras don't even have an EVF built in. So, but if you really wanted to have like an audience see, like if you wanted to do this kind of thing and still use the EVF, you could have a monitor on top facing forward. But let's see, anything else about this camera? Let me think. Of course, it has a rocker, has the zoom in, zoom out, and it also has one on top. It also has a small record button on top, and it has a record button in its usual place where you expect it to be. Guess that's about it. This is very good camera, super professional. Yeah, it has all kinds of settings that you'd think you'd want. It has 4K, UHD, 1080. You can do 60 frames per second in UHD, which is very useful to me. One thing I really dislike about this camera is it does seem prone to graininess. However, the grain is very fine, and if you have a denoiser program, it removes it. It just seems to remove it very easily. So I don't know why it's there exactly, but that bothers me about this camera. But it's okay. It's a good camera.